Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today has just been one of my favorite artists for a lot of years now. He first hit the scene with his band Candy and their classic Whatever Happened to Fun record. He then moved on to the amazing Kill for Thrills before hooking up with the mighty Guns N' Roses at the height of their powers. He's back with his first solo record of new material in almost 20 years. It's a huge pleasure to welcome Mr. Gilby Clarke. Welcome, Gilby.
Hey, always happy to be here talking some good music.
You know it. And speaking of good music, this new record, it's called The Gospel Truth. It's out now. It sounds exactly like your fans would want a Gilby Clarke record to sound like. And I guess the first question, which you've probably been asked a million times, why the 19 years between Swag and this one?
That's actually a good question. There's a couple answers to this question.
Mhm.
One of them is, first of all, I never really set out to be a solo artist. It was just kind of something I did. The first record was, I was in Guns N' Roses. I had downtime.
Yeah.
Second record was, I wasn't in Guns N' Roses. Just finished 5 years of solid touring, and I, just wanted to stay home and make a record. So it just kind of evolved over the years. When I put out Swag, it was a busy time. I actually did the Swag record and the Colonel Parker record at the same time, which was out on V2. And to be honest, man, that was a lot. I produced both records and really wrote the majority of the songs on both records. It was a lot of work. And after that, I just kind of went back and forth to touring with Heart, Nancy Sinatra, MC5, Rockstar Supernova. And all those weren't really, with the exception of Rockstar Supernova, weren't really making records. I was just touring, producing. So the time just kind of went by. I started doing some solo dates again, and I kind of got into this feeling of, what do I need to make a record for? I have my live dates. I'm getting booked all as much as I want to. I'm getting booked. People are showing up. Making a record is hard. It's a process, especially a solo record. And so I like to refer to it now that I'm reflecting as my bad attitude period. Where, what do I need to make a record for? I'm fine. I'm doing all right, But then I went to Motley Crue's last concert at Staples Center, and I ran into a friend of mine, and we were having this conversation. And he just kind of looked at me like I was full of shit. And it kind of took me aback. I was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, do you consider yourself an artist? And I said, yes, I do. He goes, well, what are you creating? And I started bullshit. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. And he goes, well, whether you think so or not, you have people that, respect you in your career and like your records, whether you feel they deserve them or not, it really isn't the point. It's a process. It's a creative process of writing and recording, and that's who you are. And I thought long and hard about that. And I, admitted that I was wrong. One of my favorite bands is Cheap Trick. Look how prolific they've been.
Yeah. And especially recently.
That record is fantastic.
Yeah.
And records in between. Rockford, fantastic record. So it really made me reevaluate things. And once I started the process of writing, recording, getting the guys over, one thing about being a solo artist is I can use different people, and that's inspiring, And I remember I liked the process. I like writing. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. It's hard work. It's challenging. When you've made for me, I've made a few solo records. I didn't want to be redundant. I didn't want to be repetitive in my lyrics. I didn't want to be cliche. I worked hard that you didn't know what the next chord change was going to be, or you didn't know what the next rhyme was going to be. I put work into that. I've worked with so many acts over the years where, like, I know every chord change before it's going to happen. I know every rhyme, and I didn't want to be that. I wanted, I wanted it to be good, and so therefore that process started this, and this is the end result of that long explanation.
Well, and now, so the songs on Gospel Truth, are these songs that you started to put together specifically with this record in mind, or was it stuff you had just written on and off over the years?
I think, like with most guitar players, we have our riff library. Mine's on my phone. I often am sitting watching the Laker game, and I have a guitar on, because there's a lot of commercials. Or sometimes I go through a period where I have an acoustic on, and I'm watching the Laker game, and I'm playing guitar, and I start compiling ideas and stuff. So these were all new songs. Nothing was left over. I think there might have been one riff that my wife and daughter laughed about. We go, we've been hearing that riff for a long time. It's good that it finally, went into fruition and became something. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty much all brand new stuff. And, even though I did go in with, I need to make a new record, I go song by song. Yeah. And my rule is simple. The song wins. Whatever the song calls for, I'm pretty good at being objective. Like the second song on the record is called Wayfair. Believe me, that was a complete different song until Teddy put that Hammond organ part on. And I just went, I got to get out of the way. I got to get out of the way. I took my guitar parts off because I thought that really moved the song along. And like I said, the song won.
Yeah. And you mentioned the friends, and you got quite a few of them on this record. I mean, people like Nikki Sixx, Kenny Aronoff, Stephen Perkins. Do you like that ability to be able to work with a lot of different people as well as a set band?
Yes, I do. I'm lucky that I have friends, because these are all friends that have been to my house. We've had, dinner, coffee, drinks together. These are friends. I'm lucky I have talented friends. Look, Kenny Aronoff could easily play on every song on the record. Stephen Perkins, they're talented. They can do it. But I like that. I like changing things up. I like giving them a challenge of, here's what I hear, and then getting out of the way and letting them do their thing. And that's what I do. So they help energize me. They inspire me. And like I said, they bring something to it that I don't. I might go, the beat goes, do ba, do ba, do ba. And then, Perkins goes, let them do their job. They know what they're doing, and they bring a new life to it.
And I think that says a lot about you as a producer, that you're willing to do that, you bring the song in, but if one of those guys has an idea to change it, it takes a healthy ego to be able to say, no, you're right, that fits for the song.
Well, thank you for saying that. But I mean, I've been in a lot of situations, when I was very, very young, one of the first gigs I had was working for Kim Fowley as a ghost guitar player. Oh, and really? What I did, I was like 19 years old, and I would go into the studio at midnight, and Kim would give me a sheet of paper of all the parts I had to fix from midnight to 6 in the morning. I'd be using their guitar, their amplifier, and fixing out of tune parts, out of time parts. And I learned that early. And then when I went to make the first record with my band Candy, my ego got hit pretty hard, where Jimmy Einer did not hear the band the way that myself and the band members heard it. We had to make compromises, which, I really didn't feel like I wanted to make those compromises, but I had no choice, either do it or get off the boat. Yeah. So I've had good and bad experiences, even working with Mike Klink and GNR, him and I, we found a common ground, but it took a moment to find that common ground. Everybody works a different way, so that where I am now is from all those years of working with different amazing, talented producers that have taught me those lessons. So I know when to get out of the way.
And one thing I found really interesting about Gospel Truth is it's your only solo record that's all original material. Usually you always throw on a cover or two. I mean, is it just because you had such strong material that you went for it?
Funk, nail on the head. Yes, absolutely. It's exactly what happened. I mean, it's in the past, I thought that the covers were kind of like a prelogue, like in the book. It's just like, this is what inspires me. This is who makes me who I am as a musician, guitar player, artist. So I thought it was like, the window into who I am. I didn't feel I needed it on this record. I thought we had 10 strong songs. I've never been a person who wrote 30 songs and put 10 on the record. I usually wrote 10 songs made the record. This one, I actually have a couple extras, and not because they didn't make it. It's just when I listened back, it was a groove kind of thing, and I'm all about feel, it's like, the records, it's just got to kind of go like this, and keep the listener. But yeah, I didn't need covers on this record. I recorded some, I just didn't put them on.
Yeah. Well, taking a look back throughout your career, I mentioned the early days with Candy and Kill for Thrills, and the Dynamite from Nightmareland records. What's still one of my favorites. I always loved that record. Oh, and it came out sort of at the end of the LA heyday. I mean, for Kill for Thrills, did that band kind of dissolve because of the Guns N' Roses opportunity, or did it just kind of both happen at the same time?
No, it actually dissolved before. We just kind of had some bad luck. I thought, first of all, we were never like the LA hair bands. I mean, even you look at the pictures, we didn't look anything like it. We fit in with bands like Junkyard and Circus of Power, you know, and Mother Love Bone. You know, it's like that's kind of where we were going, you know, and so we were prepared for what was already happening. You know, we really were. We just made some bad choices. You know, we got our major label record deal, and I mean, I was the primary songwriter and singer, and we only had 6 songs, and we got a major label deal at our first gig. We opened for a band that was showcasing, and at the dressing room after the show, we had all these major labels seriously offering us deals. We did showcase with the label, and we picked the wrong label. They, you know, they offered us a lot of money. We heard what we wanted to hear. Even though we had management, it just, you know, we just made some bad choices, you know, but yeah, it did dissolve before GNR.
Yeah, and then as you got into GNR, I mean, was it a bit of a shock because in Candy and Kill for Thrills and up till then, you were always kind of the guy. You were the singer, you were the primary songwriter, you were the lead guitar player. And then you come into Guns N' Roses and it's, okay, well, now you're playing more rhythm. The songs are written. You could do some background vocals. Was it sort of a culture shock?
No, it was a nice change. You got to understand. I mean, you know, look, did I have pressure? Yeah, I had some pressure, but you know, I had just been dealing with, like I said, you know, Candy actually signed two major labels before we put out our record. I had signed my name on a lot of major label contracts. I was a writer for Virgin Records. You know, I mean, I kind of felt like, man, what the fuck do I got to do to get a break? You know, even though I've had some breaks, you know. So by the time I got in Guns, believe me, I was ready to play rhythm guitar, shut my mouth, and also it was a real lesson because Guns, you know, I mean, I didn't really look, even though I knew the guys, I knew how they got there. I didn't really know the inside story because from the outside, it kind of seemed like this band couldn't fuck up any more than it kept fucking up, and it just. It landed in gold shit. You know, it's like everything worked out in their favor. They were very much like, fuck you, I'm doing whatever I want. And it worked where a lot of us made a lot of compromises along the way. So getting in that restored my confidence, like in my ability as a musician and as an artist, just being around Slash, being around Axl, their personas and how much confidence they had in their ability rubbed off on me. But no, I was ready to take, I mean, look, I wanted more solos. Don't get me wrong, but the Slash wasn't giving them up. Believe me, I asked. but no, I mean, I was okay with it. I really was. Like I said, it was an incredible learning experience. And I also thought the musicianship in the band at that point was really strong. The band was really going in a really good direction as far as musicianship.
And looking back on your tenure there, is there anything that you would have done different or you wish the band did different in terms of whether it's certain songs added to the set list or taken out or what went on with all of the touring? Is there anything, you know, if you did have a say that you would have done different in that time?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, and people always assume that I didn't have a say. I actually did have a say. I mean, the guys were really, I mean, Slash asked me questions all the time. Axl asked me questions all the time. To understand, they're in a bubble. You know, their success came so fast and stuff. And I'm the one that stepped from the outside, you know, who's still the dirty guy from the Hollywood streets. And even though they had elevated themselves, you know, so they did ask me questions like, you know, I mean, I helped pick some of the bands that opened, you know, like Helmet. They never heard of Helmet before. And I was like, Helmet's a great band. You guys check them out. And so I did, but I didn't really have the final decision on anything. You know, they're going to do what they're going to wanted to do. But, I don't know. Like I said, what I've done differently, that's a hard choice. I mean, you know, the way things ended, I think you could kind of say that the camps were split in the sense of it was kind of the band. Look, the band, we really were a band. We didn't each have our own dressing room. We had our dressing room as a band, and Axl had his own dressing room. I don't know if there's anything I personally could have done to, you know, make that more cohesive. So, you know, we were more of a band rather than the Axl and the band. I honestly don't know if I had any power in that. I wish I did. I mean, I think in the beginning, number one, I was just so happy to be there. You know, I was, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I did anything I wouldn't have done. I mean, when I got the gig, I was 30. I said to myself, I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to be Izzy. I'm going to be myself and just do the best version. They either like it or they don't. I wasn't compromising in that situation. But, you know, I mean, in hindsight, I wish I could have helped mend that so we were more of a cohesive unit. But I mean, look, to this day, I still don't know if it's a cohesive unit.
Do you still have a relationship with any of those guys today?
All of them. All of them.
Good.
All of them. Yeah, all of them are text away. I mean, I can't honestly say that I talk to them all the time and stuff, but actually I talked to Matt today. So there you go.
And then your solo career, I mean, began with a bang. Just that Pawn Shop Guitars record is still one of the great records of the era. You played with Slash on the Snake Pit record. I mean, what was it like once you knew that Guns was over? I mean, did you say like, okay, the band's ending. I put out this one solo record so far that was really good. That's the direction I'm going to go.
Well, I wish I could claim that I had that much forethought, but I didn't. It was a really simple thing. I mean, look, did I know that the band was in trouble? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When the tour was over, the band needed a break. It definitely did. I made the Pawn Shop Guitar record for one simple thing. I had all these songs that I had from Kill for Thrills up to Guns N' Roses that had been around. And when we were talking about making a new record, I presented those songs to Axl. I presented them to Slash, and they said, we're going to start from scratch. We don't want, I mean, he didn't say we don't want, they just said, want to start from scratch. Yeah. So I said, look, I got these songs. Can I make a record? I have a deal with Virgin, and they said, you have our blessing. We'll help you out however we could. It was really that simple. Mm-hmm. When it ended really was when I was out promoting the record, is when things were starting to not go in my direction and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was lucky that I was busy with, the records coming out, a tour's about to happen. The Slash's record was already made. I knew what I was going to do for the next 3 years. So that was kind of a good distraction. But it wasn't until after, Slash's Snake Pit where I actually had to take a look and go, what am I doing? I mean, look, I'm a band guy. I'd much rather be in a band. Mm-hmm. But what do you do from Guns N' Roses to, I mean, really, what do you do? I mean, I thought about that. Next? It's like, well, if I'm going to fucking beat my head in clubs and all this, I might as well do it doing my own thing. I mean, it's not like I made a conscious choice to do it. It just happened. And I took advantage of what I could and made the best of what it was.
And is that the same sort of thing where, after that string of solo records in the late 90s, you kind of morphed back into the band stuff with Heart, with Nancy Sinatra, the MC5, the Rockstar Supernova show and tour. I mean, again, kind of going back to the question of earlier, was it more just, I've done the solo thing. I just want to be part of something else now. And
no, I just needed a better paying job. No, really. I mean, look, I enjoy, like I said, the Heart situation, the MC5 situation. I like playing guitar. I mean, I don't mind changing every couple of years. I did have opportunities. I mean, there were some big acts that did ask me to play guitar. It just, it's a hard thing because, like I said, my solo career was doing okay. I mean, it's not like I was headlining, theaters and stuff like that, but financially I was doing okay. So to take a guitar gig in some bands was actually taking a step down. And since I make more money being Gilby Clarke playing a club than I playing guitar in this band playing in sheds. So, even with the Heart gig, I like I said, look, it's a great gig. Don't get me wrong and stuff, but I had other things going on. It's like I wanted to do that point. I don't want to say I was tired. I needed a change. I needed a change. I wanted to get back to that again. And same thing with Nancy Sinatra and MC5. Like MC5 is just pure Wayne. I loved Wayne. Loved playing with Wayne. Those songs are great. Believe me, it wasn't a financial decision at all. It was musically inclined.
And the last time I got to see you play was Cleveland 2012. Where you joined Slash, Duff, Matt, Steven, and Miles Kennedy to celebrate the Guns N' Roses induction to the Hall of Fame. And actually the night before you were on with Duff, where he was doing a small show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was one of the greatest nights of my life, was that Duff show where you came on there. And what are your memories about just that whole couple of nights? And did it mean something more to you being a Cleveland guy and the band being inducted in Cleveland?
There's a couple answers, once again, to that question. the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is not on my radar.
Yeah.
I did not even know Guns N' Roses was up for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't even know they were accepted into the Hall of Fame. It just wasn't on my radar. I didn't know until maybe a couple months before the actual induction ceremony when I found out how it went down and all that stuff. I was like, wait a minute, I'm feeling a little left out here, you know? And it did bum me out, you know? And then I found out all the workings of it and stuff, and I felt less bummed out. But I didn't know anything. So let me back up a little. At that point, we had already been doing Kings of Chaos. So Kings of Chaos was myself, Matt, and Duff, and Slash kind of came in and out. So we had all been talking, we all been playing together, and great relationship at that point. So Duff called me a couple of days before, and he said, "Hey, we're going to play at the Hall of Fame. We'd love for you to play with us." And before I even thought about it, I said yes. Duff's my friend. He asked me, Duff McKagan. I said yes. There's no question about it, right? So the next day I got a plane ticket with my wife, and we flew, and it was in Cleveland, which is great. My father still lives in Cleveland, and you know, being in Cleveland maybe made it easier for me, you know, because I wasn't inducted, you know, but I was playing with the band. So some of that stuff. The only time it ever really felt weird was there was a moment when the guys went out to make their acceptance speech, and they basically herded them to a stage and me and Miles to a tiny little corner. And I kind of went, wow, okay. It did feel bad, you know? But, you know, once you start playing with the guys, and like you said, that night was great playing with Duff. And we did our only rehearsal after that, like
I remember
in the morning.
They threw us all out of House of Blues, and the rumor was that all you guys were coming in to rehearse after the Duff show.
That's how we rehearsed for it. With now, granted, I played with Steven before, but you know, look, I haven't played Guns N' Roses songs in a long time, with the obvious exceptions, you know, and stuff. You know, with Miles singing, we really didn't know what we were going to do until you know, hours before. So that was it. You know, that, and once again, that's fun because, you know, I mean, I almost had more of a place in it than Steven did at that time, because I've been playing with them more than Steven had, you know? So it felt real natural, you know, and you know, look, there was a lot of weirdness over it at that time, you know? I've told the story a couple of times, but we didn't have any techs with us. I mean, being that I knew we were going to do it, I did bring my guitar with me, but we had no techs, you know, it was rented backline. And the backline we tried out was the backline at that rehearsal. There was like 3 Marshall heads, you know, Slash grabbed one and I grabbed one, you know. And when we went to play and they introduced Guns N' Roses, literally, the song we played, my part came in first, and I hit a, and my amp, I'm not joking, went up in smoke. It's Mike, who is Duff's guitar player, was standing next to me, and we looked at each other like this. We go, "That was smoke, right?" And I go, "Oh, all right. Well, there's another one just plugged in. I didn't even see what brand it was or what I just plugged in." And you can hear, I think it was Steven starting the song, and you can hear me background going, and trying to get a sound. I mean, that was like so Guns N' Roses. You know?
I mean, it's a shame that performance isn't seen anywhere now. You know, I mean, that was one night I'll just never forget, because that was, you know, the only time that lineup played, and you guys just killed it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever even seen Matt's performance with us at that. You know, like I think I saw the one that Steven did, "Sweet Child of Mine," but man, the sound is so horrible. I don't know. Sound good on stage. I don't know. It sounded bad out there.
It sounded great to us. So, you know, going back to the Gospel Truth, it's a strong record. You've gotten some pretty good reviews on it. For you, what are the next steps? I mean, you're planning on hitting the road as things open up? Is this kind of gotten an itch to do some more recording and writing? What's next for you?
Well, it certainly has, you know, scratched an itch of, you know, myself writing and recording songs. I definitely enjoyed that process. You know, live dates, man, I'd love to go do some shows, but, you know, it's a different world out there right now. You know, I mean, we did our first live shows about 3 weeks ago in St. Louis. We did a couple shows. One was a public show. One was a charity show. It's the first time we played in public in a year, and you know, some things went really well and some things were still a little strange. So I honestly don't know. I mean, I like this experience of, you know, putting out a solo record again. You know, if the opportunity comes through for us to do some dates, you know, we'll do it. It's just, I don't know. I honestly
Yeah.
don't know the answer to that question. Let's just kind of, I always kind of take things as they go. So
Yeah. Well, we've been spending some time here with Gilby Clarke. The new record is called The Gospel Truth. It's out everywhere. It's on all the streaming services. It's just a great rock and roll record, exactly what's needed right now. And Gilby, I can't thank you enough for spending some time here and talking about this record and kind of taking a walk through your career.
right on.
It's been a pleasure. I hope we catch you on the road sometime soon when you hit the East Coast out here. And
Right on. Remember,
best of
loud
luck with the
guitars
record.
save lives.
You know it. There's plenty of them there. So.
Exactly.
You got it, my friend. Thank you so much.
You got it, man. Take care.
You too. Bye.